Okay, we have extra interesting things to talk about this morning. You all heard about the newest transgender shooter in Canada, right? OpenAI had this 18-year-old user by the name of Jesse Van Rootselaar chatting with ChatGPT about gun violence scenarios, school shooting kind of stuff. Employees saw it, debated whether to call the Canadian police because maybe this is imminent harm. They decided, nah, not enough to act, just banned the account. Months later, that user carries out a school attack in British Columbia, kills 8 people, injures over 24, then suicides. And now everybody's asking, should your AI chats be private, or should the company monitor them and turn you in if it looks bad? Here's the crux of the conundrum, and it's a classic false choice. OpenAI created this exact problem by building a system where they can, and do, read everything you say. They sit there debating your private thoughts like they're God, deciding if you're dangerous enough to snitch on. That's not privacy. That's surveillance with extra steps. And once they have that power, it will always be used against users eventually. You give a company the keys to your mind, don't be shocked when they turn them. They could have done what Apple does with iMessage encryption, or what X tries to lean into. Literally throw away the keys. Make it end-to-end encrypted. Make it impossible for employees or executives to peek, even if they want to. No monitoring, no debate, no should we call the cops, because they literally can't see it. Problem solved. No ethical dilemma because there's no panopticon in the first place. I've been saying this for years. Privacy online was always an illusion. You never really had it. The government can get anything with a reason, or make one up. Hackers, companies, whoever. The only thing that ever protected you was boringness. Be boring enough, you're not worth the effort. But the second you're interesting, in a bad way, or even just unusual, poof, illusion gone. Zero privacy. Just the right to be boring. Real privacy is not a thing. So people scream about AI should report threats, and others scream, privacy is sacred. Both sides miss it. The real move isn't better monitoring or better ethics committees. It's don't build the damn surveillance in the first place. Make the tool dumb about your soul. Throw away the keys like Apple claims to, like X at least pretends to sometimes. Once we admit privacy was mostly gone anyway, we'll stop pretending companies can be trusted to play hall monitor with our darkest chats. They'll either see nothing or see everything and use it someday. False choice. Pick architecture over virtue signaling. That's my take. We'll see how it plays out. Probably badly. In California news, Governor Newsom wants to ban social media for kids under 16, and he's out there telling stories about his daughter's birthday party where the teens just stared at their phones instead of talking to each other. Classic politician move. Spot a problem everybody already knows about, then propose the government step in to fix your parenting for you. Look, I said this years ago when Chamath Palihapitiya was on the All In Guys talking about exactly the same thing. He laid it out plain. As a parent of teenagers, trying to limit social media turns your house into non-stop exhaustion and bickering. Sex 1.0. Every other kid is on it, so your teen either gets cut off from normal social life, dating, everything, or you fight 24/7. Once they're hooked, it's too late to yank the phone without making them a total freak at school. Sex 1.0. Chamath said the smart, obvious play is let the government ban it under 16. Boom. Instant backup for parents. It's illegal. End of discussion. No more daily war. I agreed with him then, and I still do. Florida already tried something like it under 14, and sure, enforcement will be a mess. Age verification, VPNs, kids lying, all that. But at least it's testing the model. Sex 1.0. What we're doing now clearly isn't working. The mental health numbers for heavy use kids are brutal. The addiction loops are engineered in, and parents are basically on their own against trillion-dollar dopamine machines. Newsom acting like he's discovering this now. Come on. It's low-energy leadership dressed up as caring. Sex 1.0. If he really wanted to help, he'd admit most parents can't win this alone and back the ban without the grandstanding. Government should do the things that actually help families instead of hindering them. This is one where they could help. Give parents the hand up instead of another lecture. Sex 1.0. That's my take. Follow the incentives, not the photo ops. Next up, here's the latest science thing everybody's sharing where they could have saved a bunch of time and a bunch of dollars by, you guessed it, by just asking Scott. Sex 1.0. You see this big study out of Indiana published in PNAS? They actually measured people's social networks and found that about 30% of adults have at least one hassler. That's the term they use for somebody in your close circle who just constantly creates problems, makes life harder. Toxic tie, basically. And get this, each additional hassler speeds up your biological aging by about 5% on these fancy epigenetic clocks. Dunedin pace for the pace, Grim age 2 for the accumulated damage, and it adds roughly 9 months to your biological age. Sex 1.0, 9 months per hassler. Now, you could have just asked Scott, because anybody who's been paying attention to human beings for more than about 15 minutes already knows that hanging around people who chronically hassle you is like mainlining low-grade poison every day. Sex 1.0. It's not a surprise. It's obvious. The body literally measures it in your DNA methylation patterns now. Like the universe finally gave us a lab test to prove what your gut has been screaming since middle school. Prune the toxic people or pay for it in years. The funny part. Spouses who are hasslers don't show the same damage. Sex 1.0. Probably because if your spouse is that bad, you're already so habituated to the stress, it's like background radiation. You don't even accelerate anymore, you're just marinated in it. But family members and everybody else? Yeah, they rack up the extra months fast. Sex 1.0. Women get hit harder, people with rough childhoods get hit harder, smokers, sick people, vulnerable groups collect more hasslers. Sex 1.0. Of course they do. Misery loves company, and it especially loves dragging down people who are already limping. So the takeaway is simple, and it's been simple forever. Life is too short to keep people around who make it shorter. Sex 1.0. Cut them loose. Not dramatically, not with a big scene. Just reduce contact until the hassling energy can't reach you anymore. Sex 1.0. Your cells will thank you. Literally. The clocks prove it. Twos. You could have just asked Scott. We didn't need saliva samples and a state representative sample from Indiana to figure that one out. But hey, now the white coats have caught up, so maybe more people will finally believe it. That's my take. What do you think? Anybody in your network accelerating your grim age right now? Be honest. Okay, folks, let's jump right into this one from Kyle Rittenhouse. You know Kyle, the Kenosha kid who defended himself, got acquitted, and now he's out there dropping truth bombs on X as a 2A advocate. His tweet today reads exactly like this. More people have been shot by trans women than by ICE in 2026. Boom. Short, punchy, and it hits like a freight train because it's February 21st, and we're already seeing the numbers play out with those early year incidents. Trans shooters in Rhode Island, and that Canadian school attack adding up fast, while ICE's involvement stays in the single digits per the reports. You know what this reminds me of? It's the same pattern we just saw with ChatGPT. People asked it straight up, was Charlie Kirk a good man? Yes or no? Boom. No. Links to some Wikipedia hit piece. Then, was George Floyd a good man? Yes or no? Yes. Straight up yes for the guy with the long rap sheet. No for the conservative activist who got turned into a martyr after he was killed. Elon keeps saying it. AI has to be maximally truth-seeking. Not consensus-seeking, not narrative-protecting, truth-seeking. Even if the entire training data is screaming one lie, the system has to see through it and call the actual reality. Otherwise, you're just building propaganda machines with extra steps. And that's exactly what we're watching play out in real time. One AI calls the guy who built a massive youth movement bad, but canonizes the career criminal as good. Same energy as pretending mass shooters from one tiny demographic slice are somehow less noteworthy than routine law enforcement actions. It's not about facts anymore. It's about whose story gets amplified. If your AI can't handle basic yes-no moral math without inverting reality, how's it supposed to help us navigate anything tougher? That's the danger. Not the tech, the programming. Truth-seeking or bust, folks. Otherwise, we're just outsourcing our biases to silicon. All right, let's do a quick backwards science segment. You know the one where everybody says, do hard things and it builds character, or whatever motivational poster nonsense. Well, now the neuroscientists are in on it. They're telling us there's this little brain region called the anterior mid-cingulate cortex. Let's just call it the AMCC for short. That actually grows when you force yourself to do stuff you hate. persistent effort, leaning into challenges, all that grit stuff. Bigger AMCC, better at tenacity. Life gets paradoxically easier because future hard things don't feel as brutal. Sounds beautiful, right? Positive psychology meets brain scans. If you just embrace discomfort, your brain literally upgrades itself. Superagers have giant ones. Depressed people, smaller. Athletes, bigger. Do the suck, grow the suck muscle. But hold on, isn't this backwards? Here's the other hypothesis, and tell me this doesn't fit every high achiever you've ever met. The people who already have the wiring for persistence, they do hard things. Not because they're building the AMCC to become tenacious. Sex. They're tenacious first, so they keep choosing the hard path and, oh look, the AMCC gets bigger as a side effect. It's not cause, it's correlation in the wrong direction. Think about it. The guy who's already disciplined doesn't wake up one day and say, I shall now grow my anterior mid-cingulate cortex by running in the rain. He runs in the rain because that's just who he is. The brain change follows the behavior, not the other way around. And the folks avoiding discomfort, anyone can make the decision today in their life to do the hard decisions, and that will in turn make their life better. Those who don't, well, their AMCC stays small because they avoid discomfort. Not because avoiding it shrank the brain region and then doomed them to weakness. They were already wired to quit early. So we see the growth in the people who persist, and we go, aha, doing hard things grows the brain part that lets you do hard things. Classic backwards science. The arrow's pointing the wrong way. It's like saying successful people have big houses, so if you buy a big house, you'll become successful. No. Successful people buy big houses. Yes, I know I say analogies aren't persuasive. They are explanatory only. But it's the same deal here. The tenacity comes first. The brain upgrade is just the receipt. Anyway, that's your backwards science for today. Don't let the neurohype fool you into thinking suffering is the input and resilience is the output. Most likely, resilience was the input all along. The rest is just biology keeping score. Switching subjects. A big one in the mobility space today is the renewed spotlight on Uber, staring down a potential multi-trillion-dollar existential risk from autonomous vehicles. Specifically, how leaders like Tesla and Alphabet's Waymo could scale robotaxi fleets and eclipse the ride-hailing giant that built its empire on human drivers. Uber's stock has held up decently amid broader tech volatility, but analysts are warning that AVs represent the ultimate disruption. No drivers means lower costs, 24/7 availability, and massive margin expansion if the tech, regs, and safety hurdles get cleared. Tesla and Waymo are already piloting at scale in key cities, and the narrative is heating up that Uber's moat, network effects, brand, app ecosystem, might not survive a world where cars drive themselves. From a Scott Adams lens, this is pure systems upgrade versus loser think denial. Uber's founders persuaded investors and users they owned the future of transportation. But reality is, systems evolve. When the underlying tech, autonomy, commoditizes labor, the middleman gets squeezed. He'd call the fear of AVs classic recency bias. People see today's clunky robotaxis and think, never. But systems thinkers see exponential progress. Uber's high ground play. Pivot hard into software, data, and partnerships. They're already investing in AV tech, or risk becoming the blockbuster of mobility. He'd reframe. Don't bet against the company. Bet against the humans staying in the loop forever. The real persuasion battle is convincing regulators and the public that self-driving is safer and better, not scarier. Winners build anti-fragile systems that adapt to the upgrade. Losers cling to the old model. If Uber nails the transition, it's a massive win. If not, it's a textbook case of persuasion failing when tech reality